sharing. Okay. It's our way of sharing. It's our way of empowering individuals and organizations with our knowledge so that you can make better decisions. And in this particular session, we're going to be talking about success strategies for 2024. I know that usually towards the end of the year, this is where people begin to slow down and lay aside every weight. And, it was Thanksgiving holiday a couple of days ago, just yesterday, the day before in the US. And we're all getting into that holiday season. By December, everybody's like, well, I can't come and kill myself. Well, let's just finish 2023 and let's see what happens in 2024. But I'm always a big believer that when you're running a race, you exert energy at two important points: at the beginning of the race and at the end of the race. It doesn't really matter what happens in the middle, but if you exert a lot of energy towards the end of the race as you're heading towards the finish line, you can finish strong, no matter how the middle of the race has been. And no matter, even if you didn't start well, you can finish strong, right? So the purpose of this conversation, brief as it will be, is just to show you how to finish strong. So don't wait until 2024 to get your goals happening. And you're going to be inundated with so many people talking about goal setting, and that's fantastic. But the most important thing is to figure out why your goals are important. What do you want to achieve? Why is this important to you? Do you get what I mean? And I'm sure in this conversation with my boss, Emma, we would be just giving you a few insights that can help you finish strong and start well in 2024. So yeah. Yes, ma'am. Over to you.
Yeah, great. So thank you for agreeing to be here. We
I
don't
didn't have a
take this time
choice.
for
They didn't give me a choice.
we don't take this time for granted. But anyways, I have a few questions. And guys, I would say if you have questions that you would love him to answer, if you would like to ask him live, please indicate by raising your hand or type it in the chat box and so I can ask him. But you mentioned goals. So I'd like to ask, what is the easiest way to set goals? Because I work with people to we consult for people too, and they're already talking goals and talking objectives. Before we even dive into the meat of the program, how do people set real goals? Because we don't want to just write something and by January 1st, we've already forgotten it. How do we make sure that we're setting the right goals and then we're also setting them in the way that we're able to execute them?
So that's a great question. When it comes to goal setting, I think the reason most people don't achieve their goals is that they didn't really want it in the first place. It's very easy to get caught in the whole goal setting bug where you just copy and paste other people's goals because, well, that's what they're doing and it seems like the right thing to do, right? So it's like how Obo said, I'm using a Nigerian context. It's like, for those of us who are Nigerian and we've had to apply for jobs, you usually copy somebody else's resume. You see somebody's CV, say, what's your, and it says, oh, my objective is to work in a fast-paced organization, yada, yada. We just copy and paste. So I think where it comes to goal setting, a lot of people do copy and paste. But your goal has to be something that it has to be a destination you want to go to. Do you get what I'm saying? You want to go. So the first few letters in the word goal means go. Where do you want to go? And where I want to go may not be where you want to go. And that's okay. If somebody wants to make $1 million and that's not your goal, that's not where you want to go to, and you want to make 100K, it's okay. Do you get what I mean? So first off, where do you want to go? Because where you want to go determines the road you want to take. If I want to go from Lagos to Abuja, there are many roads to get there. There are many ways I can get there. But first off, where do I want to go? I want to go to Abuja. Okay, fantastic. That's where I want to go. How do I want to get there? Do I want to enjoy the scenic routes where I don't mind when I want to take my time. I want to look at the roads. I want to see nature pass by. I'm not in a hurry. Then I can take a bus. But if I'm in a hurry and I don't have time to waste and I can afford to, choose, reduce my time, and I don't care about flowers and I don't care about nature. I just want to get there, shop, 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 shop. I'm going to take a plane. So we've identified where we're going. Now we've identified how do we want to get there, right? The next most important thing is what's it going to cost me to get there? Because if I've already chosen that I'm taking the scenic route because I want to, observe nature and all those wonderful things, then I recognize that, okay, the cost to me getting to Abuja from Lagos, taking transport, means I'm going to prioritize I'm going to prioritize the journey, not time. So I'm not in a hurry to get there. So I'm going to be focused more on the journey. So when my friends are intimidating me because they took a plane and they got to Abuja in 1 hour, right? And they're talking about how quickly they've gotten to their destination, because sometimes that happens. You're working on your goals and then you get distracted by somebody else who seems to have gotten to their destination, and the person is talking about how they've gotten to Abuja in 1 hour and they've saved time. You start feeling jealous, you start feeling insecure, because now you've taken your eyes off what it was going to cost you to get there. The guy who took the plane to Abuja it'll cost them money, and I hear that to fly these days in Nigeria, particularly, it's a lot more expensive. So the person has decided that, you know what, time is more valuable than money for me in this particular thing. I want to get there quickly, so I don't mind paying a lot of money. You've decided that the journey is much more important to you. So you don't mind paying little because you want to enjoy the journey. So what's it going to cost you? Because your goals are going to cost you. It'll cost you time. It'll cost you money. It may cost you relationships. It may cost you, you've got to identify what the cost is to you, right? And then most importantly, how will you know you've gotten there? How will you know you've gotten there? I'm trying to make this incredibly basic, right? How will you know you've gotten there, right? So let me go into a little bit more technicality, okay? Now, there's a difference between goal setting and goal getting, okay? A lot of people do goal setting. They don't do goal getting. And I'm going to use an acronym that a lot of us are very familiar with. If you've ever gone through a goal setting program, they talk about your goals have to be SMART. So you've probably heard about SMART goals, okay? Now, for those who probably haven't, SMART is an acronym, okay? SMART is an acronym for specific. S stands for specific. Your goals must be specific, right? So you can't say, I want to make $1 million in 2024. It's not specific. I want to make $1 million on December 31st, by December 31st, 2024. That's a specific goal, right? So it's not, please forgive me, what God cannot do does not exist, or in Jesus' name, or anything that we pray to. No, your goals must be specific. You can't say, I want to lose weight. I want to lose 10 kilograms through dieting or fasting. Now you're specific, through dieting and fasting or exercise by August 27, 2024. Your goals are specific. Next, M, your goals must be measurable. You must measure it, right? A goal that can't be measured can't be managed, right? So if you know that your goal is to lose, let's say, 10 kilograms by December 31, 2024, when will you lose 1 kilogram? By when must you have lost 3 kilograms? When must you have lost 5 kilograms? When must you have lost 7.5 kilograms? But you already know when you're going to, be 10 kilograms lighter, which is December 31. So if your goals must be measurable, you're saying something like, well, by February 1st, 2024, I would have lost 1 kilogram. By April 27th, I would have lost 3 kilograms. So on and so your goals are measurable. So it's specific, measurable. A, achievable. Your goals must be achievable. And I'm not saying your goals must be achievable in Jesus' name. I'm saying that it will stretch you, but it won't stress you. You can do it. Your goals can be achievable. So if you've never made $1 million and the most you've ever made is 10K, saying you're going to make $1 million may not be achievable because based on your track record, and remember, we're not adding Jesus' name and we're not adding any of those things. We're not adding faith. We're just looking at it based on our track record, that for the last 4 years, no matter what you've done, you've only earned 100K. But you said this year you want to do 1 million, which is 10 times more. Is it achievable? Knowing what you know, doing what you've done, maybe not. So it may not be achievable to say your goal is to make $1 million. Your goal might be to do 300,000, right? That's 3x. Okay. So now it's achievable. R stands for realistic. We're not saying again in Jesus' name, what God cannot do, forget all those things. Realistic. Is it realistic? When you tell yourself the truth, you can, what's that word we use? You can boga other people, but you can't lie to yourself, right? So when you look at your goals, you're saying, is this thing really realistic? Somebody who's never done 1 million says, I want to make 100 million. It's not realistic, right? Yes, it's faith. Yes, you're trusting God. Yes, but is it really realistic? You tell yourself the truth, it's not, right? Then T, your goals must be time bound. There must be a time frame, right? And don't get it twisted. Your goals don't all have to be achievable in 2024. Some of your goals will enter 2025, and that's okay. So don't get caught up in the whole, my goals have to be achieved in 20. No, it can be achieved in 2024. It can be achieved in 2026. If you think that that's realistic for you, by all means. Remember, you're not competing with anyone. You're going to Abuja by road. Somebody's going to Abuja by air. So don't judge them based on how they get there. So the person who's going by road is saying, no, it's not possible to get to Abuja in 1 hour. How are you going to get there, right? But the guy who's going to Abuja, who says, I'm going to Abuja and I'm going to get there in 1 hour, you're like, 1 hour. Between Lagos, just to get from Aja to Lekki is 1 hour. And you're saying you're going to get from Aja to Abuja in 1 hour. And the guy's like, yes, because it's realistic for him because he knows he's going to take a plane, right? So don't argue about the vehicle. Focus on your destination. So that's goal setting. SMART. Thank you, Tonya. That SMART goals are specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. This only is goal setting. It's not the same as goal getting. Now, what is goal getting? How do you get your goals? Because right now, all we've done is we've set our goals. You know what you want to achieve, a specific, achievable, realistic, time bound. No problem. How do you now get your goals? Let's go on. This is phase 2. This is the part no one teaches you. We're still using the word SMART. Okay. So we've used SMART for goal setting. Now we're using SMART for goal getting. Okay. Now, after you've done all this serere of specific, measurable, and so on, now to get into the goal getting part, your goals must have strategy. What's your strategy? Strategy is, how is this going to happen? So you say you want to lose weight. You want to lose 10 kilograms by December 31st, 2024. What's your strategy? Are we using diet? You've tried dieting, it didn't work. Are we using exercise? You hate exercising. You can't go to the gym. You know that you don't like doing gym. Okay. Is it fasting? Okay. You already know that. Okay. Well, you've done a lot of church programs. So maybe for you, fasting is the way. So what kind of fasting? Is it intermittent fasting? And even if it's intermittent fasting, could you please help me mute? If it's intermittent fasting, right? What time block, as an example? Are you doing 12 to 6? Are you doing 12 to 9? Are you doing, what is your strategy? Right? If you're trying to make $1 million and all you've ever made in the year is 100K, and you now want to make 300K, what's your strategy? Do you want to get a coach? Do you want to do it by yourself? Do you want to pay for, if you want to get a coach, which coach? Is it Steve Harris? Is it some other amazing person out there? Who do you think? So what's your strategy, right? You want to go and grow on social media. You want to be a content creator. What's your strategy? This is where the thinking comes in. This is where you begin to think. The previous one is just goal setting. Now this is where the real work is. So now you're going to start thinking and say, okay, what's our strategy? Next, that's for S. M stands for milestones. What are the milestones? What are the milestones? How do we know we're getting closer? Right? Your milestones are like bus stops on the way to your destination. Milestones are like bus stops on the way to your destination. I remember when I was growing up, living with my parents, back in the days in Yanopaja, when I would come back from school, my school was in Ikeja. I knew I was getting home because I was hearing bus stops that were familiar. I would hear bus stops like Ikeja under bridge, right? A bare bridge, Ikeja under bridge. Mongoro, the conductor will be saying, Mongoro. Some people say, oh, they'll get down. But you know that that's not your bus. That's not your destination. So don't be upset because somebody's getting down at Mongoro, right? And you're like, this person's getting down at Mongoro. He has gotten. You also grew up in that area, absolutely, right? Right. So you're feeling bad because somebody has gotten down at Mongoro. They've gotten to their destination. Cement. What conductors call it's not. You're not going to cement. Stay in the bus. Under Ilekbo, vulcanizer, cement. Oh, don't ask me where I live. I know all these bus stops. God has been good to me, right? By the time they mention vulcanizer or any church, abattoir, all these buses, you know you're getting closer. So milestones are the bus stops on the way to your destination that you are tracking, that this is significant, right? So what are your milestones, right? So you're breaking down, I can't forget that, Mallory, I can't forget, right? So you're breaking down your goals. You've broken down the strategy. Now, okay, what are the milestones? So you've got to be able to also measure them. So milestones for me, let's say, so right now I'm in the US and my goal is to become an internationally recognized thought leader, coach, speaker, writer by December 31, 2025, right? So hey, Christine, I see you. So what are my milestones? A milestone might be, you know what, because it's important to me. Remember, my journey is not the same. We could be going to the same place, but remember how we go there may be totally different, right? Yeah. So one goal for me might be to say, one goal for me that is success for me is to say, oh, I'd like to headline the Kajabi conference. I want to speak at Kajabi. That's a milestone for me. Guess what? I've done it already. Tick. Another road for me, because it's my road. I'm the one who's planning this journey for myself, might be, you know what? Do you know what? It will be really cool if I got to speak one day at Tony Robbins' Unleash the Power Within. I want to speak on Tony Robbins' platform. That's a milestone. And I set a goal for myself. And I say, you know what? My strategy now is I must get into this Tony Robbins thing. I want to be a speaker. Boom. All right. Milestones. Strategy, milestones. A stands for actions. And I find that this is where a lot of people struggle because they're not taking action. Your goals are just dreams. They're nice to do. So what are you doing daily to get you to your destination? What are you doing? What are the actions that you're taking? Right? It's enough, posting content. Could you please help me mute? I don't know who that is, right? Posting content is great, but is that the action that will get you to your destination? And I find that a lot of us major on the minors when it comes to our actions. We major on the minors. We do the least scary things. We do the things that make us look busy, but are not being productive. A lot of us are busy, but we're not productive. So actions for us, for example, let's say your goal is to your goal is to put your business out there and so on and so forth. The action you need to take, for example, let's say is your website has to be up and you're driving people to your website so that people can buy, but you're acting busy, you're forming busy. So what are you doing? You're spending time designing the website. Mm-hmm. You're changing the font. You're changing the color. You're tweaking this and tweaking that. You're working on the website. You are busy, but you're not productive. You're taking an action that won't move the needle because you're afraid. Because you know what you're supposed to do is just launch the website. Just launch it and just die trying. But you're like, oh my God, if nobody comes to this website, I'm done, I'm finished, I'm going to be so embarrassed. And so you do all the little baby steps. See, if you want to get your goals, baby steps are for jokers. Baby steps are for amateurs. Everybody's saying, oh, take baby steps. No, 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 you're not a baby. Take massive action. Massive action. Do the thing that scares you. Let me give you the real example, right? Real example. Let's say my goal is to meet Barack Obama and be his personal advisor. Let's say, as an example, I want to be Barack Obama's personal executive coach. There are many ways to do this, right? This is my goal. I want to reach Barack Obama. I want to be his executive coach. There are many ways to do this. I could write him a proposal. I could DM him on Instagram, and even sending him a DM on Instagram, he won't read it. Obviously, because he's got handlers and things like that. But I would say to myself, okay, baby steps. Okay, just send him a DM, knowing he won't read it, knowing he's not going to get it, but you do it anyway because and let God, at least I sent him a DM. Even sending that DM is a hard thing, where you're like, well, I know he's not going to read it, but let me just do it anyway, so that it will be said that I did it. So I sent him a DM, right? Of course, he's not going to read it. But I'm like, but God, I've done it. That's not what I need to do. I can break down my goal, and all of you can break down your actions into 5 massive actions that scare you. You don't need to do more than 5 things. Oh, hand up. All right. You don't need to do more than 5 things. 5 things, just lowering my hand. You can limit your goal. You can limit your actions to 5 big things that scare you. So, for example, let's say to reach Barack Obama, it's 6 degrees of separation. So let me give you an example. Step number one that I could do, I could talk to my mentor, Fela Durotoye. Okay, I'm going somewhere. Watch this. I can talk to my mentor, Fela Durotoye. That's one easy action because I can talk to him. I have a relationship with him. Another, Fela Durotoye can speak to Bishop T.D. Jakes. Fela Durotoye can speak to Pastor Paul Ade-Farrison, who's my pastor, House on the Rock, Lagos. Pastor Paul Ade-Farrison can speak to Bishop T.D. Jakes. Bishop T.D. Jakes can speak to Barack Obama. 4 people. I'm 4 people away from Barack Obama. But I can decide to dilly-dally and, quote unquote, waste my time talking to FD, because that's the easiest thing to do, baby step. Or I can skip FD and now do the thing that scares me and talk to my pastor and say, Pastor Paul, I need an audience with Bishop Jakes, as an example. That's one road to go, as an example. And Pastor Paul would speak to Bishop Jakes. Or I can speak to one of my friends who is close family, she has close family ties with the Jakes family. And I can speak to her, and she can speak to Bishop Jakes' daughter. And Bishop Jakes' daughter gives me an audience to speak with Bishop Jakes. And Bishop Jakes speaks to Barack Obama. Do you get what I'm saying? All of these actions will scare the living daylights out of me. But you know what I decide to do? I decide to do baby steps. I send him a proposal. I DM him on Instagram. I'm doing all the things that prevents me from having rejection because I'm afraid. In the same vein, all of you know what you're supposed to do, and you can count them on 5 fingers. What are the 5 things that if you do them, they would scare the living daylights out of you, but they will give you massive results? Do that. So the strategy, milestones, actions. R stands for resources. Resources in time and money. What do I need to make this thing happen? What are the resources I need? How much time do I need to give to this every day? How much money must I spend on this? Because I think sometimes when it comes to our goals, we don't think we need money. And we don't think we need time. How much time? How much money? And lastly, T. What team will help me make this happen? Who can I have on my team to help me make this happen? Strategy, milestones, actions, resources, and team. Right? So now you know the difference between goal setting, which is where many people get stuck at. They write their goal, it's on a piece of paper or it's on their phone, but it doesn't move from phone to anything.
Yeah.
What's the strategy? What are your milestones? What are the massive actions you're going to take? What resources do you need in terms of time and money? And then lastly, who's your team? All right. I hope this made sense. I gave you a long answer
Yeah.
question. So
That was a great answer, like a bomb in one. So thank you so much. But when you talked about baby step versus massive steps, I know that I kind of feel that lots of people take baby steps because of fear and
yeah.
because of fear of failure. So in taking massive step, doesn't it mean that you will fail big time? And if you fail, you may fail big time. And then if you fail, how do you come out of that failure? Because I kind of feel like at least the people who are here, they're willing to take big steps. That's why they're even, here to even learn what strategies are or glean more about what strategies are. So in terms of failure, I know sometimes you cannot avoid it, but what do you do when you fail? How do you get back on track and just help us answer that question, because I want to take bigger steps, but maybe I'm afraid to fail too. So what can I do? Do I expect failure, or is there a way to prepare against failure altogether?
Well, the first thing I'm going to say is failure is feedback. That's all. Failure is feedback, right? Um, and you are going to fail. Failure is feedback. A baby learns by walking, learns to walk through failure, right? And
Mm,
failure is just feedback. And I know it's easier said than done that failure is feedback, but guess what, guys? You're already failing in one way or the other. You're failing, but the thing is, you're failing anonymously. Your failure
mm,
is anonymous failure. So it's nobody will know that I failed. I tried this. Yeah, nobody knows. It's just, hey, Christine, it's just normal, regular, anonymous failure. Now, here's the thing.
mm,
If I'm willing to fail more times than you're willing to try, I'll beat you every time. I'll say this again. If I'm willing to fail more times than you are willing to try, I'm going to beat
mm,
you each time. I'm going to achieve way more than you because I'm willing to fail. What's the point in failing anonymously? What's the point in failing with baby steps that
yeah.
no one would ever remember? I would rather go down in a blaze of glory having tried and failed woefully than to just try safely and it's totally anonymous. So, will you
Mm,
please fail? And I need you to recognize failure means nothing except the meaning you give it. I'll say this again. Failure means nothing except the meaning you give to it. I'll give you a very quick story. I'm sure you remember this, right? Many years ago, my friend and I organized an event. You know where the story is going, right? So a friend of mine calls me and says, "Hey, Steve, you're so great at organizing events, and all your events are sold out." And he also had sold out events, so he figured, let's collaborate and organize a seminar for thought leaders and coaches on how they could sell out their events. So we called our events very simply "How to Sell Out Your Events." That's what it was called, right? And we put out the word, put the word out and say, oh, if you're a thought leader, if you're a coach, if you're a speaker, and you'd really love to learn how to sell out your events, join this event hosted by Steve Harris, Paul Foot. Put this event out, made noise about it. A lot of coaches were very interested. They're like, oh, snap, I'd love to be a part of it. Can I pay at the venue? Can we just, buy tickets at the venue? We're like, yeah, sure. So we prepped, paid, got a venue, got a location, paid for food, paid for thingamajiggies, merchandising and, whatever. We bells and whistles, we're ready for this event. D-Day came, right, for this event. It's called Sell Out Your Seminars. And I'd like you to just imagine how many people came for the seminar. I'm going to just put you out of your misery right off the bat. Nobody came for this seminar. Zero. Diddly squat, nada, nobody, zilch. No one attended the event called the event was called Sell Out Your Seminar. We could not sell out our seminar. Do you understand what I'm saying? How ironic, right? And it was so embarrassing because we made so much noise about it, and we just we covered our losses. We ate our food, we gave food away. It was a sham. We made, for real, Damilare, we sold nothing. Not a single person showed up for an event called Sell Out Your Seminar. Now, in height, we could have decided that, of course, were we hurt? Absolutely. Did we fail? Absolutely. Right. And we could have decided that that would have defined who we were, and decided never to organize another event ever again because of the pain and the embarrassment that came with organizing an event called Sell Out Your Seminar. You couldn't sell a single seat to a seminar called Sell Out Your Seminars, right? But we took that failure as feedback and we laughed about it instantly. Instantly, we started laughing. We were embarrassed. We were paid. We just started joking. Like, can you imagine? Like, we organized an event called Sell Out, and we couldn't even sell. And we started laughing, and we changed the meaning of that event in our hearts. Failure means nothing except the meaning you give it. So every time Paul and I talk about, we laugh about. There's no hurt in my. There's no hurt in my pain, in my chest. Was it embarrassing? Absolutely. But we had to change the meaning quickly, so that every time we think about it, all we do is just laugh. So my point is, things are going to happen. You're going to fail, but would you rather fail anonymously, or would you rather go down in a blaze of glory? And here's the worst. What's the point? What's the worst that can happen? What's the worst? They'll say no, right? They'll say no. If they say no, what's the point? You take it as feedback, tweak it again. I'll give another example just to be quick. A couple of years ago, I organized a relationship coaching seminar because I was coaching women on social media, on Instagram, and I was having hundreds of women attend my live sessions, and I was just talking to them about positioning themselves for marriage and stuff like that. Long story short, I had like 800 women in a thingamajiggy in a Facebook group that I was mentoring and coaching, and after giving them my heart for like 6 months, just coaching them and just showing them how they could position themselves, I just had this brainwave that, whoa, you've got a captive audience of 800 women. What if you could offer something that's $10, and if all of them buy $10 times 800 women, that's $8,000. You make money, right? So I just figured, okay, so I just posted something on the group. Hey, ladies, you guys have been asking me about this, that, and the other. So I've created this, little audio, series. It's just about $10. At the time in Nigeria, it was like 5,000 there, right? So you can participate in this, yada, yada, yada. Yeah. And I put the link expecting that because I've poured my heart out to them, they would reciprocate and decide to purchase. Long story short, because I don't have time. Damilare, do you know how many people signed up to that program? Zero. Zero. Not out of 800 women, zero. I was hurt. I was in pain. I told my wife I'm not doing it again, that sort of thing. But eventually I took it as feedback and I started asking questions. Okay, why didn't it work? Once I got my emotions out of the way, why didn't it work? And I realized that at the time, Damilare, I was speaking to an audience that were not desperate enough. And let me put it this way, they were in their mid-20s. So marriage to them wasn't nice to do. Their issue was not, Steve, I can't find a man. Their issue was, Steve, which man should I pick? Because I've got like 4 boyfriends. But I recognized that if I spoke to an older demographic, no disrespect to them, they are the ones who are more, quote unquote, desperate. And I don't mean that from the perspective of desperate women. They really want this product. So once I shifted the age demographic, right, all of a sudden, boom, it started working. And I was able to coach. I've coached like 600 women since then. So what am I saying? Failure is feedback. Will you please fail? Right? If I'm willing to fail more times than you're willing to try, I'll beat you every time. So will you please fail?
Would you please fail? Okay, we'll fail. We'll keep trying till we get it. Yeah. But I wanted us to move a bit to employers or business owners. So I feel like 2023 has been kind of chaotic economically for business owners, and different things have changed here and there. And so I want to ask, are there strategies or things that happened in
Can you mute, Tony?
somebody? Okay. Are there strategies or things from 2023 that we can take into 2024? And then I'm asking now in terms of, marketing plan and business plan. Because a lot of people are not very flexible. So I'm thinking this is a new year, things will be different. Are there strategies from 2023 that will help us in 2024, or we should just go into 2024, with new ideas and or what's your thought on that?
Great question. So I'll put it this way. To every entrepreneur here, it's not about your marketing, because I think a lot of us feel like everything can be fixed with our marketing. It's not about your marketing. It's about the market you are in. I'll say this again. It's not about your marketing. It's about the market you're in. If you have great marketing, but you're in a wrong market, you won't make money, right? You won't make money. So the first thing you need to be clear about is your market. Like I gave the example of the ladies that I was coaching. I had the right product, right message, wrong market. I was speaking to a market that wasn't hungry enough, wasn't desperate enough, didn't want it enough, weren't willing to pay for it. They had options. They weren't desperate. So even though I had the great product, great marketing, great customer service, wrong market, wasn't going to make money. The moment I found the right market, right, and I added my right product, in fact, you can have the right market, a sucky product, sucky marketing, but people will buy. So first off, that's what you need to think about. Spend less time on your marketing, spend more time on the market you are in. And ask yourself that ugly question, like, what's in it for them? Like, can these guys pay? So how do you identify what I call a better market? Number one, what is their pain points? What are they struggling with? Right? People will pay for pain or pleasure, but people will generally pay more for pain. So what's their pain point? So I'll use this demographic that I spoke to so it's practical. My markets in this case are, let me use the word mature single women. I'll use the phrase mature single women. What's their pain point? What keeps them up at night? They want to get married. They feel like time is passing them by. They feel like the only options available to them are to be single moms, side chicks, freeze their eggs, whatever. That's their pain. It keeps them up at night, right? So what's their pain points? Number two, are they a growing market?
Recording it.
Is this a growing market, right? And I've seen that statistically, the number of single women grows year on year over the number of single men. So this is a growing market. That this problem is not going to be solved probably until Jesus comes, or unless maybe government policy allows men married 4 wives, as an example. It's probably not going away. It's a growing market statistically. Number three, can they afford it? Do they have money? Can they afford it? Whatever you're selling, can they afford it? So if I pitch something that was now $100, I've seen people pay $100. I've seen people pay $1,000 at different levels for relationship coaching. Do you get what I mean? Can they afford it? Yes, they can. Number four, can you easily find them? Yes, you can. You can find single women in churches. There are many single women in churches. There are many single women in career and industry and so on and so forth. You can find them. Do you get what I'm saying? So that's how you find a better market. Pain points plus, what was the second one I said? Pain points plus
growing market.
Growing market, thank you. Growing market plus
can they afford it?
Can they afford it? Yes. And plus,
can they easily be found?
Can they easily be found? Once you have all those together, you've got a better market. So that's what you do, right? That's how you find. So that's number one. The second thing I'll say, and I'll keep it very short. So number one is it's not about your marketing. It's about the market you're in. Number two, you must be able to communicate your value in a way that is valuable to the customer. I'll say this again. You must be able to communicate your value in a way that is valuable to the customer. I think many entrepreneurs get the first part right. They don't get the second part right. So every organization says, oh, this is our value. So, my value is this, my value, what I'm bringing to the table is this. But the question is it have you communicated that in a way that is valuable to your customers? No. So I'll give you an example. Because I've coached women for a long time, single women for a long time, I've helped a lot of them get married. When I put my content out and I'm marketing on social media, now in my head, as a coach, I say they need coaching, right? Thank you, Christine. I say that they need coaching. So because I'm offering a coaching service, I think that coaching is valuable to them because that's the value that I bring. I'm a coach. I help you become better. But that's not what they want. I've realized that what they really want, they're asking the question, where are the men? So they always say, Steve, where are the men? After you've taught us all these things, where are the men? So you know what I decided the real value was? The real value that is valuable to them was now speed dating sessions, virtual speed dating sessions. Because now Steve has the ability to gather single men who may not necessarily be desperate, but are eligible. Do you get what I'm saying? So Steve has the ability to gather these single men in a place virtually all around the world. And these women can speed date them, get their numbers, so they get to meet 50 men. Each woman gets the opportunity to meet 50 men. That is valuable to them. But if I kept saying, oh, I'm going to coach you how to find a man, I'm going to coach you, they're going to stay, oh yeah, after coaching us, where are the men? So what is the real value to them? It's not about what I want to sell. The real value now is what they want to buy. What do they want to buy? They want speed dating. Do you get what I mean? So now my entire premise of that coaching program is not about what I'm going to tell you. It's not about all the things that can position you, your patterns. People don't care about they have patterns. They don't care. They're sabotage. They don't care. They're sabotaging. They have limiting. They don't care. What they care about is, after all these things, will I find a man? Yes, you'll find a man. These are the men. Come for speed dating. They'll say, they'll pay $1,000 speed dating. They'll pay for it. Do you get it? So number one,
Yeah.
not about your marketing. It's about the market you're in. Number two, it's not about your value. It's about what's valuable to the customer. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. I know that there are people here who are employees or individuals who don't have a business yet. So I want us to talk a bit about them. So for 2024, what's the strategy for visibility for an individual or for an employee? I know that it could also be relevant to an employer or a business owner, but I want us to focus more on, individuals here, not just the business owners. So how do we become more visible in our workplaces or visible online, or, what's the strategy to it?
Promote yourself shamelessly. Promote yourself shamelessly. I think a lot of people are too humble. And I don't mean humble. I think a lot of people are emotionally insecure and they use it to masquerade as humility. And I've defined, there's a difference between humility or false humility.
Yeah.
Humility and then arrogance. So there are three things. There's false humility, which I call humility. It's not a real word. There's humility and then there's arrogance. I think a lot of people fall in the humility aspect. So humility is making yourself small so that others feel big. You make yourself small so that others feel big. You make yourself small so that others don't feel threatened. So somebody can say to you, I'll pick Christine. Oh, Christine, that's such great work you did. And Christine's like, oh, thank God. You're kind. Thank you so much, blah, blah, blah. Oh, Damilary, oh, great job. Damilary is, Baba God, no, you. As you that taught me, thank God, thank is God, is God, is God, is God. Yes, it's God. But it can also be interpreted as false humility because Damilary is making herself small so that others don't feel threatened, so that they can feel big. That's false humility. Humility, real humility, is recognizing that you are big, but you're not trying to make anyone feel small. So if anyone says to me, oh, Steve, this was a great presentation, do you know what I'm going to tell you? I know. I'm like, I know. Thank you. But I've seen every time I say that, people are like, "Ah, that's so arrogant. That what do you mean you know? You should just say thank you." I'm like, okay, thank you. I know. Of course I know it was a great presentation. I prepared. I know what I was talking about. I know it's a good presentation. But be like, no, 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 no. If you say that, you're taking glory from God. Are you joking? You are the image of God. God should look at you like, that's my boy. That's my girl. So real humility is recognizing you're big, but you're not trying to make anyone small. Arrogance, on the other hand, is recognizing you're big, but you're going out of your way to make other people feel small.
Yeah.
Arrogance is recognizing that you're big, but now you're going out of your way to make other people feel small. So like, of course I was great. I mean, come on. Nobody was better than me in that room. Of course, I mean, come on, look at this person's presentation. It's this person's nonsense. But when I came, now you're making people feel small. So I
Yeah.
think you've got to promote yourself shamelessly. Be humble, be truly humble. Show people you are big. Show people you are great at what you do. Show people you are fantastic in what you're doing for your organization,
Yeah.
how you're adding value, and how you solve the problem. Go on social media and talk about this. I think the problem, especially with employees, for those who particularly use LinkedIn, is you don't know how to tell your story. So yes, yes, you've got your resume, yes, you've got your things on your LinkedIn profile, but people don't really read those things yet until they're interested in you. Your job is to make organizations headhunt you. That's your job. So how do you make organizations headhunt you? You tell stories about the amazing things you're doing in your organization. So you
Yeah.
got an amazing opportunity recently, and without going into too much detail, I was given charge of this project, and at the end of the day, we grew the project by 160%, and and the stakeholders were happy and excited. I just wanted to share that with you because guess what? Your girl is doing this, and I project managed that, and it was such an amazing thing. Now, guess what? As you're putting out all these things, you're promoting yourself shamelessly. You're now showing what is valuable to the customer. So the organizations that want to headhunt you, and my wife is an amazing recruiter and headhunter and stuff like that, right? That's what they're looking for. They're looking for someone who has competence in delivering on the kinds of things that you're talking about. So when they're seeing that, so every time they go to your page, they see that you've done something new, or you're a part of a team that it didn't go so well, and you notice that, oh, this didn't happen very well, and you recognize that it could have been done better, or this is what you did, and you feel like in hindsight, you would have had better experience, and now you're learning. So
Yeah.
people are, it's like a reality show. They're coming to your page to see what you're doing next, because you always have something to say, good, bad. So you're not just talking about all your amazing stuff. You talk about the stuff that you did and it totally flopped. I tried this, it flopped. In hindsight, I should have done this. I wasn't great emotionally intelligent. I wasn't emotionally intelligent here, but now I know a little bit better. Now I know a little bit better. Now, guess what? Organizations start headhunting you, because without saying things like, everybody on their resume says things like, "Oh, I work well under pressure," but now you've shown them practically how deadlines are coming, crunch time. You were, irrespective, you're able to work under pressure, and you got it good. Organizations are now looking at like, wow, it's a day in the life of what you're doing. Promote yourself shamelessly.
That's amazing. Yeah.
I know.
But I wanted to
Mhm.
ask this question. Is for the Association of Shy People, which I used to be a member of before. When you say promote yourself shamelessly, someone who is shy, I don't like to use the word timid, someone who is shy, an introvert, how can they do this without it? Because I feel like sometimes when you jump out too fast, it kind of like you feel you get burnt because as someone who used to be shy, when people say things, it kind of like gets to you. But people who are extrovert, basically, even if you say things, it doesn't get to them. So how do you help someone who is shy or who is an introvert begin to come out of their shell? Because this is 2024. Shyness doesn't help. I've learned that a long time. How would you help someone who's an introvert begin to promote themselves shamelessly? Because promoting yourself is a scary thing. For a shy person, you're thinking, what would they say? What would they say? Did I do it well? And all that. So what's the strategy around that?
Well, I think the first thing is to not be tied by labels. You're not shy, introvert, extrovert, choleric, phlegmatic, melancholy, sanguine. They're all labels. So first off, you don't need to identify with the label. That's the first thing. Second, you're not always shy. You are situationally shy. That's the truth. With your family, you're not shy. With your friends, you're not shy. You just choose to be shy in a particular situation. So that's the first thing, because if you're shy, then you must be shy in every parameter with your family, with your friends, and that's not who you are. So your situation, you decided that at this moment you would retreat into the background, because with your friends you don't, with your family you don't, with those you love you don't. But in this area where you feel like you're a little uncomfortable, you choose to retreat. So the question is, why are you uncomfortable? You're uncomfortable because maybe you don't have the right information. You're uncomfortable because you feel that other people there are more accomplished. You're uncomfortable because, and these are things that you are putting on yourself, right? It's okay to be nervous, but you have to recognize that you have the responsibility to show your best, put your best foot forward at all times. And that's the impression, because guess what? People already, here's the truth, people don't care about you. They really don't. They really don't. People are more self-absorbed than you think. People, I mean, I can decide the best I am with almost 200,000 followers on Instagram, as an example. The best I am is an entertaining distraction to somebody's day. That's the best I am. That as they're scrolling through their timeline and they see Steve Harris, the best Steve Harris is an entertaining or educative disruption to their day. And when they're done with me, they're going to skip and continue moving on with their lives. So you can disappear for social media for 1 month and nobody's going to care. You know, when people give announcements on social media, oh, I'm going away for 1 month, I'm going on a retreat, you know, I won't be reached. Nobody was going to reach you in the first place. You're just giving a public service announcement that no one cared about. And when you come back, no one still cares. You will notice that no one's going to ask you, oh, dude, you've not been posting. Where have you been? They don't care. They care about themselves. And you need to care about yourself too, right? You need to care about yourself too. So it's all about making the best impression that you possibly can. You don't have to be louder than everybody else. Remember, humility, humility, and arrogance. You don't have to be louder than everybody else, but you have to be loud enough to be heard. Loud enough to be heard that when you say something, people hear it. You don't need to repeat it over and over again. You just say something, people hear it. You make the best impression of yourself. That's the most that anyone should ever demand from themselves. So it's not about you being shy. You're situationally shy, and you chose to be shy in that situation because you're not shy in all circumstances, right? So, you know, that's what I would say to that person. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Thank you for that. I hope those who are shy here help. And if you have questions, please type them down in the chat box or raise your hand to ask the questions. Okay, so you can ask the question live. I wanted to move a bit to social media. So we know how important that social media is, and we know that a lot of people have used it to. I didn't get you. Oh, okay. I know we know that a lot of people have used it to like expand their business and even become, you know, global partners in different parts of the world. So what trends do you think, you know, can help someone in going into 2024? Now we've seen a lot of trends come from people dancing on social media to people going almost half naked. We've seen reels, we've seen stories, we've seen different things. What is your advice, like at least for the first few months in 2024? What trends can we take in from social media? And if you also know anything technologically wise that we should be looking at, please let us know. After this, we'll let I don't know, the person, with his hand up answer. So please go ahead.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to knock anyone's hustle in social media. People can choose to do whatever they want. Attention is currency. So whatever they're trying to do is to gain attention. Attention is the currency of social media. So some people gain attention by twerking. Some people gain attention by stripping. Some people gain attention by being characters on TikTok. Some people gain attention by dancing, whatever. But I think you need to do what you are comfortable with. Because beyond attention, the next step is retention. You can get my attention, but you may not retain me. And the moment I'm no longer retained, I'm going to unfollow you. So I may be attentive to you because you did something stupid or comedic, or you got my attention, but it's not enough for you to retain my attention. And it's not enough for you to retain my respect at the end of the day. Right? Am I likely to do business with somebody who's twerking? No. That the best that person will be a tool for attention. Do you get what I mean? And if the person is making themselves a fool, the person will be used as a tool to generate attention. Do you get what I'm saying? So first off, know what is authentically yours. You don't have to do what everybody else is doing. For me, I don't twerk. I ain't got the ass for it. Can't twerk. I can't dance. My wife says I can't dance. No dancing. Right? I'm not gonna point like a whatchamacallit. That's not me. I show up. I'm like, I ain't gonna do none of this. This is who I am. I'm gonna show up as myself. I do my thing. When I'm done, hang up. Goodbye. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So recognize that social media is an amplifier. It amplifies who you are, right? And it takes that that amplification and passes it across so many different channels. And eventually, I mean, I see a lot of people do a lot of things on social media. I'm like, when you look at this, when you look at your life in the next 5 years, you're going to wish you never did this. You're going to wish you never did this. Unfortunately, people don't think that far. Do you get what I mean? So be yourself, be comfortable, right? When you show up well, right? You don't have what other people are doing. All those things are things that they use to get attention. But you know, the Bible says that my sheep know my voice, and the voice of a stranger they will not obey. Right? When the people who love you will love you the way you are, and those who don't will not. So that's fine. You're not trying to get everybody's attention. You're just going to try to get those that you are interested in helping, and that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll have Xiaomi ask question. Okay, we're waiting for you. I can see the question in the chat, but since you raised your hand, please come live and ask the question. We're waiting. Okay.
They may need help. You might need to unmute them, I think, probably. Xiaomi. I think it's their person, it's their phone or something, but whatever. You might need to unmute them. But anyway, in case they don't.
Okay. I didn't want to ask the question. Okay, we have a question from Damilari. Said, Coach, please, what advice, strategy, or tips will you give a business owner who has an online presence already but wants to establish and grow the business to connect with more customers online in another country? I think we have Xiaomi.
Okay, Xiaomi has left the building. All right, just mute. Let me read their question first. Just mute Xiaomi, I guess. I'm currently working on a book which I plan to sell by December, and I'm still wondering how I can make it sell considering the time frame. Well, first off, it sounds like you're cutting it a lot, or really, really close. Because December is literally a few days away. However, I wish we had more information. I've sold books before. I've launched books before, so I wish I had more attention. But here's what I'll tell you where it comes to creating stuff like this. You have to create desire for your audience. The problem many entrepreneurs have, and I think you might be making the same mistake, is you've produced your supply, which is your books, and now you're going to look for customers, and you're doing it backwards. So what you're doing is you've created a product. Now you're going to look for buyers, as opposed to have created buyers who now want your product. So I'll give you a real example with me. When I wrote my first book, From College Dropouts to Corporate Sellouts, nobody had heard of me. I wasn't Steve Harris or whatever. But the first thing I did to generate attention, I'll tell you one quick story. was first I designed my book because I dropped out of school. So I had this picture of half of me in a suit and half of me in jeans and a t-shirt. So it was still me. So I just gave that image. And I put that picture out on social media. Then it was only Facebook. I was only on Facebook. Twitter and the rest were not, live. So you can imagine how many years ago that was. But I put the image of my book out there, and guess what happened? People loved it. They're like, oh my God, this is so amazing. And I remember that I put it out, I put it on a link that people had to download it. So it wasn't, Facebook didn't have the functionality to upload images at the time. So I put it on a URL and people would go there. So long story short, I was able to track there were about 600 downloads of the cover of my book alone. There were 600 downloads of the cover of my book alone. So that told me that I had 600 people who were interested, right? But now I had to create demand. Now, I think a lot of entrepreneurs focus on demand and supply. But before demand and supply, there's a missing ingredient. It's called desire. So you have to generate desire. Desire drives demand. Demand drives supply. You already have supply, but you don't have demand, and you don't have desire. So you're doing it backwards. So it's desire, demand, supply. So I had to drive desire. So I'll tell you what I did. Real talk, right? I wanted my book to be. I had this book that I'd written. Nobody knew about it, but I wanted people to buy it. So I started driving attention. I started driving desire to one of Nigeria's leading bookstores called Laterna Ventures. Right? So if you're an author or you would like to read books, it's one of our nation's biggest bookstores. So I would go on social media and I would post on Facebook, and I think Twitter came out at the time, and I would tweet, but I wouldn't tag Laterna, right? I would say my book From College Dropout to Corporate Seller, the picture is there. You can get it at Laterna Ventures. Go get it at Laterna. It was not at Laterna. And Laterna had a policy that they didn't accept books from Nigerian authors because Nigerian authors weren't selling. They could rather sell a Joel Osteen, a foreign book, because there was much desire for that, but there wasn't really desire for Nigerian authors, right? So what I did was I would every day, I was tweeting and I was Facebooking, go get this book. It's at Laterna. Go and ask them for the book. It's at Laterna. Go to Laterna. Go to Laterna. Go to Laterna. People were going to Laterna and they were asking, please, I want to buy Steve Harris's book From College Dropout. They're like, what? College Dropout. They're like, what? We don't have the book. They're like, no. The book is here. The book is here. The book is here. Imagine every day sending 20 people to a bookstore to ask for the same book. Now, guess what? By the time we felt like we had driven enough noise about the book being in Laterna, we now wrote a letter to Laterna to say, hey, we'd like to have our book supplied at your bookstore. Thank you, Christine. And guess what? Laterna was like, oh my God, this is the book that people have been asking for. Please, 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 please. Can we get 100? B, you remember, my wife remembers. Can we get 100?
Yeah.
Right? And they bought 100 copies first. They paid us full price. That book, because of desire and demand, sold out in 1 week. They asked us, because I had printed 1,000 copies. I had printed 1,000. Right? They asked us, can we have 200 more? I said, of course. Sent them 200. Long story short, we sold 1,000 copies of our book in 1 month, guys.
Yeah.
1,000 copies of our book in 1 month by driving demand, creating desire and driving demand to a supply chain. So I don't know if that helps you, bro, but yeah, that's what we did. You said Damilare. Yeah, Damilare has a question.
Damilare, yeah.
What advice, strategy, or tips will you give to a business owner who has an online presence already, but wants to establish and grow the business to connect with more customers online in another country? So Damilare, again, you have to, so two things, right? You've got to use shame. So for a lot of us who are Nigerian, who live outside the country, we deal with the stigma of our children not knowing how to speak our mother tongues. Now, so for example, like I don't know how to speak. My father's Igbo. I don't know how to speak Igbo. So, people will be embarrassed, you're Igbo. And they'll start speaking Igbo to me. I'm like, duh, right? Now, my wife is Igbo. She speaks Igbo, and she's teaching my daughter how to speak Igbo too. Now, you have to leverage shame. So I'll give you one quick example. You have to go and pay me for the rest. Write something in a Nigerian language like Yoruba, write something in Yoruba with all the accents and stuff, and just post this on your Instagram. And let it read something like this. I don't know how to say it in Yoruba. This is the English version of what I want you to say. If your child can't read this and understand this, you need to talk to me. If your child cannot read this sentence and understand what was written, then you need my help in teaching your child how to learn your language. Right? Or if your child can't read this and understand this, right, you need to save yourself the embarrassment of your child not being able to speak your local language. That's all. That's the banner. I don't know how to say it in Yoruba, but you get what I'm saying. And do it in Yoruba, because I know you're Yoruba and your demographic is Yoruba, but it could also apply to Igbo. Right? So for example, your brand is Akonolede Europe, forgive me, I can't pronounce it. You know what I'm saying? But now you need to now transcend beyond just the Yoruba version of what you're doing to now providing Igbo services. Hausa people generally speak their language. Igbo services, Yoruba services, and other alternative languages. And you do the Igbo version of the same poster, you do the Yoruba version of the same poster. So that guess what? Igbo people will come and hire you to teach their children Igbo. Yeah. But if your brand is called Akonolede Yoruba, right now you're niche into Yoruba, and I understand that. You've streamlined only to Yoruba, but there are Igbo people that need you, and you don't need to learn how to speak Igbo. You just need to hire the Igbo teachers. Do you get what I'm saying? Right? So that's what I'm saying. Do a post on Instagram or social media written in Yoruba that says, show this to your child. If your child doesn't know how to read this statement in Yoruba, doesn't know how to read it and understand it, then save yourself the embarrassment. Let me teach your child how to speak their local language. That's it. All right. Enough said.
Yeah. Thank you. That's serious business advice. They should come for special consulting. Yeah. Okay, so we have a question from Linda. She says, how can you advise a business owner who wants to pivot their business target market from low to mid-end to high-end clientele?
Oh, I'm sorry, forgive me. Say that again.
How can you advise a business owner who wants to pivot their business target market from low to mid-end to high-end clientele? So going from mid-end to getting high-end clientele.
Start saying no to low and mid-end customers. You have to position yourself differently, right? And positioning yourself differently requires that you start saying no, right? When I wanted to change my prices and I wanted to be I wanted to attract the 1% in 1% customers, I had to stop speaking to the 10% and the 90%. So I would do free stuff that they could buy on my website, but I stopped giving them my time. So I started pre-qualifying my audience. So I'll give you an example. The 90%, I've taught this before, the people at the bottom of the pyramid, they buy commodities. So whatever you sell is a commodity. If you're targeting a 90% demographic, everything you're selling is a commodity. And a commodity is something that can be easily replaced by your competitors, and your customers don't feel your absence. So if I don't buy a bottle of water from you, and I buy from the next guy selling a bottle of water, I haven't lost anything. Because it's the water I wanted, I didn't want you, right? So what you're selling is a commodity. The second level, the 10%, they don't buy a commodity, they buy an accessory. They buy something that they see that accessorizes them, right? So I'll give you an example. A person at the 90% buys a shoe to walk. They buy a shoe to walk. The person at the 10% buys a shoe that matches their bag. Do you get what I'm saying? They buy it that accessorizes them. It makes them feel like they're parts of something, right? The person at the 1% buys exclusivity. That's why she will buy a Chanel bag, right? She buys a Chanel bag because it's exclusive. The person at the 1% of the 1% will buy a Birkin bag. That is a limited edition that most people don't have. They all bought whatchamacallit, fashion items, but they bought them for different reasons. The guy who sold to the 90%, they bought a commodity. The guy who sold to the 90%, they bought an accessory. The guy who sold to the 1%, they bought exclusivity. The guy who sold to the 1% of the 1% bought scarcity. So stop being available for the 10%. Stop being available for the 90%. And start pre-qualifying the 1%. Do you get what I'm saying? So that's what you need to do.
Yeah. Thank you so much. We have another question, but before I ask that question, I would say we have something called partnership thing with people here who may be business owners or who work in organizations who would like to have our services as education. So if you have if you work in an organization or you're a business owner and you want us to come in to train, and or we have like a partnership thing that we do. So if you work somewhere, you can introduce us to your company, and of course, we'll be able to work something out. And if you're a business owner here, just because you've been here, we'll be able to give you some sort of discount. There'll be some a link below where you can sign up to become a partner with us. If you introduce us, we'll be able to work out some terms that are beneficial to both of us. I just wanted to state that before I ask the next question. So the next question is from Christine. She says, while I'm getting ready to launch my counseling business, what would you recommend I read or learn so I can prepare better for launch day? Thank you.
Great question. Hey, Christine. So what I would always say to you is, you don't have a problem with counseling. That comes to you as a great gift that you have. What I need you to read or study would be books on marketing, books on closing, how to close the sale. Excuse me, because a lot of meetings you might have, in fact, the meetings you're going to have the most are not your counseling meetings. The meetings you're going to have the most are meetings to close your customers. So there are people who are going to be interested, but they're not yet committed. Commitment comes through paying. So you're going to have to filter a lot of people who are interested in sound counsel, which is your business. They're going to be interested, but you've got to figure out a way to make them buy, to make them close the sale. So for example, and I was going to tell you about this anyway, while we're waiting on the website to be launched and the business to be ready, one of the things we can do is offer a 15 minutes, call it discovery call, for the lack of a better term. Call it a 15-minute discovery call. It's going to be free. But before it's free, they have to pre-qualify. So you're going to create some sort of Google form that gives you their name, email address, phone number, asks a little bit about what their problems are, and then asks the question that, we're likely to make you an offer we're likely to make you an offer to work with us on this counseling journey, as an example, right? Do you have a budget to work with us? And then the drop down will have, yes, I'm ready to pay, hypothetically, I'm ready to pay $100 to work with Christine. Or no, I'm not ready to pay $100 to work with Christine. Do you get what I'm saying? Something like that. I'll give you the details privately later, right? So the point is, anyone who clicks that form and says, no, I'm not willing to pay Christine, we're not having a meeting with that person. There's no point. They can't afford you. They're just going to come and give you their sub story, right? And I know you've got a heart of gold, but we don't want to listen to people's sub story. We want them to pay to have sound counsel. Do you get what I mean? So we need to pre-qualify the people who are serious from those who aren't serious. Now, when you get on the call with those who are serious, who have clicked and said, yes, I'm willing to pay $100 to have a session with Christine, no problem. Those guys get into the room, 15 minutes with you. Now, guess what? That's not the place to give them sound counsel, Christine. In those 15 minutes, your job is not to problem solve. Your job is to problem show. I'm going to say that again. Your job is not to problem solve. Your job is to problem show. So sometimes in these free calls, we get into problem solving mode. Because if you solve their problem, they're not going to buy at the end of the day. You want them to buy. So you're going to listen to them and you're going to show them their problems. Like, oh, I think you have a challenge with this. I think we need to fix this. I think we need to fix that. I think we need to fix this. Problem showing. And then at the end of, before the call is done, you then upsell them into, listen, you know what? I've heard what you've talked about. I understand where you're going through. It seems we have a problem with this. We have a challenge with this. We need to fix this. We need to fix that. Therefore, I think we need to have a session together. Would you like to pay for that session? Do you get what I mean? And then once they're upsold, you now solve their problem once they've paid. Do you get what I'm saying? So I would rather say that you need to read books on closing the sale. I don't have any I can recommend off the top of my mind, but because I know you personally, I'll find someone, I'll tell you. But books on closing the sale would really help you. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that. We have Dr. Michael. Dr. Michael, we're ready for you.
Yes, thank you very much. Good morning. Great session so far, as usual.
Thank you, sir.
I've never disappointed.
Thanks.
Yes, unfortunately, I'm in my PG. I wish I could start my video. I'm not looking as good as Steve this morning, but my question actually stems from what Steve had talked about, and not a question, but just to make sure. He said, start saying no to the little, to the small and mid, and start qualifying the high end. But then, would it be wise to then say that preface that means first you need to position yourself in the market where the high end is reaching you?
Yes.
If you're still positioning where the low and mid are, you're going to really feel empty, and so you feel like you feel like you're turning down money, but first you position in the right market. And then the small and mid will still find you, because that's where everybody starts. It's just very rare I jump to the top. I mean, not everybody's Steve. So we all have to climb the ladder up. And I just wanted to make sure that
yes.
Okay.
Yes. Thanks, bro. Thank you. So let me use this as context. So allow me to be spiritual for a moment. So, let me put it this way. Jesus would use the crowd to get attention, right? So the crowd would come out to see Jesus, and they would make a lot of noise. The 90%, the guys at the bottom of the food chain, please allow me to use this. I'm going to say this as capitalistic as possible, are to be used to generate attention. And when the rich people see the crowd shouting your name, the rich people are like, interesting, who's that? Right? And when they see you, the rich open their doors to you. So I'll give you a story of Zacchaeus. We know the story. Jesus is walking, the crowds are following. Zacchaeus is Jesus's target demographic. He's a rich guy. I'm breaking this down, deconstructing. He's a rich guy, he's a wealthy guy. He has power and influence. Everybody knows him. Jesus, I'll use the word deliberately, positions himself in the direction of where Zacchaeus is going to be. The crowd is making so much noise about Jesus that Zacchaeus gets the attention of Zacchaeus, who has already heard about Jesus. That's promotional strategy. They've already heard about Jesus. So they know that this Jesus guy is not just some random Joe. The crowd, the Zacchaeus has heard about Jesus. They've heard about his testimonies. They've heard about the things he's done. And then Jesus positions himself to go to where Zacchaeus is. Long story short, the crowd is what generates the attention. The crowd generates the attention, right? Generates the noise, and that gets Jesus's attention. Now, guess what? The moment Jesus gets Zacchaeus' attention, he leaves the crowd outside. He goes in with Zacchaeus, and the crowd is outside. So what am I saying? When you're doing business with low and mid clients, you're using them to generate the attention of the rich. So the rich will see that the crowds, the 90% are talking about you and how amazing you are and the noise you're making. You're just using forgive the term, but I'll just say it that way. You're using the crowd to get the attention of the rich, right? Because it's the crowd that will say how amazing you are. The crowd are the ones who are saying, oh, he healed the sick, he raised the dead, he's done this, he's done this. And all that information gets to the rich, but the rich don't know why they need you yet. They just, okay, well, he's very popular with poor people. Yeah, yes, sir. Go on. Yeah, he's very popular. I thought you raised your hand, right? He's very popular with poor people, but that doesn't yet demand the attention of the rich. Do you get what I mean? So when you use the poor to get that attention, and then the poor is talking about all the things that you can do, guess what's going to happen? It's the rich that will open the doors. You will walk through the doors. You leave the crowd outside. So that's what I mean. I hope that. Yes, sir.
Is it then correct to sum up what you just said by saying don't belittle your humble beginnings? Because sometimes when we want to move up the ladder, we tend to think we want to shut down that
Yeah.
humble crowd, which is always the first step.
Yeah.
Is to still carry them along because they will serve as your megaphone.
Exactly. Exactly. So just make sure that in that crowd moment, you are amplifying, you're giving them things to carry as your gist. They're saying you've healed the sick. They weren't there, but they heard you did it because you told them. They heard you raise the dead. They weren't there, but they heard you did it because you told them. So you've got to give the crowd something to say. You have to give the crowd something to something that they would carry that amplifies your legend. Do you get what I mean? And then they use that as currency to get the attention of the rich. Do you get what I mean? So that's what I think you should do.
Is it also possible or wise to say, and I don't want to use the word free, but rather make yourself available to problem identify, not really solve, but within a time frame, maybe once a week, 30 minutes, people chime in and they throw in their problems. And in that you solve a few, but you identify a lot. That way you build in the aura of you can do more if only I could get this guy one-on-one, because that's I think takes to one. I haven't done this. I'm just
I get you.
Thinking, so I don't want everyone to think I'm an expert at this. That's
no,
okay.
You are an expert. You definitely are an expert. But yes, absolutely. So yeah, so that place where people can consistently hear you, even if it's once a week, even if it's, so that, people are hearing about you. I've been in rooms where, I mean, I've helped thousands of small businesses, even though they're not my target demographic, but because I've helped so many thousands of businesses, people say about, oh no, Steve, I've heard about you. I know, I of course I know who you are. Do you get what I mean? Then they now interact with me one-on-one, and then they now realize, oh wow, there's something more, because now they're the ones I've been gunning for all this time, right? So I know how to solve their problems. So I give them problem showing, then they pay for problem solving. So you're absolutely right.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the time.
You're welcome, sir. Good to see you again, bro.
Yes, thank you. I just decided, why not? You have an hoodie.
Yes. They can't see the bottom. I'm probably wearing shorts. Nobody can tell.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Michael. We appreciate this. Okay, so we're rounding off. So what we'll usually do is to ask Steve for a few comments or his advice for 2024. But before that, I wanted to say that if you want to share your business with us, if you have products that you want us to talk about, you can put them on the chat box so that with Steve here, because this is still going to go on YouTube and a lot more people are going to watch, and it serves as some sort of advert for your business. So while Steve is rounding off, please take the 60 seconds to please put if you would want us to do that with you. Otherwise, we'll just take it that you're good and you don't want an advert and all. But please take time to just put a few sentences down about your business, who you are, what you do, and all. So please do that. But in closing, Steve, I know that there are lots of questions. I still have a lot I want to ask, but we've spent so much time. I just want to ask you what your advice is, like final advice, and it should cover business owners, it should cover employees, individuals. What do you think that we should do going into 2024? First month, what should we do?
Be willing to fail. Just be willing to
Just
fail.
that.
That's all.
Just
Nothing
that.
more. Be willing to fail.
Okay, so I agree with you. So in being willing to fail, we should be putting our giant steps or our giant strides out there and all, and not being afraid to fail. So we'll do that. Even I have taken lots of notes because I'm like, I will make sure that the businesses that are in my hands to serve, I will do my best with them. But let's move on to, talking about participants or people who are taking time to be here. And Steve, I'll just like you have that way of reading and making it really nice. So
I can't do. I won't do that. That's a paid product. I'm not going to do that for free. Hell no.
For the people who have been do it for the first two people that have. Yeah, so we have Dr. Michael. I think you can see
What am I looking at? I can't see anything on the chats.
Comment. There's Dr. Michael. Oh, he sent it to me. Okay. So let me, I want to see if I can copy and put it in the chat box so that it's not just to me. You can read it all together. Oof. I don't wanna. Oh, what have I done? What have I done? Okay, I think I've done something I'm not supposed to do. Just give me a second. I'm coming back. Okay, I'm back. Okay, I'll just read it because I was trying to. Okay, there's why the message is coming directly to me. But anyways, Dr. Michael says I guide people through decision-making steps that create more revenue for them while freeing up more time for things they enjoy and family. So, Steve, just throwing something there. Just, you know how you do.
I don't know.
Come on now.
Uh, I don't do this for free. I guide people through decision-making steps.
Mm-hmm.
I guide people, so I guide people through. Guide.
You can just amplify it for us.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to piece it together. I guide people. I guide people to spend. I guide people to. I guide people to spend less time, make more money through. Guide people to spend less time, spend less time, making more money. I guide people to. I'd rather say something like, for the lack of a better term, I guide people to. I guide people to earn more. I guide people to earn more by doing less through. I guide people to earn more while doing less through effective decision making, something like that. I guide people to earn more while doing less through effective decision making. So that's for Dr. Michael.
Okay, so guys, this is Dr. Michael. He helps people make more money via decision making. So if you need his services, please reach out to him. He's Dr. Michael, though he hasn't put his details here, but I'm hoping that in some way he may put his details here and we can reach out to him. So that's Dr. Michael's. We have Edengu, Eukarya. So Steve Harris.
The title of your book is too long. That's the first thing. Your book title is, you should call your book Healthy Holidays.
Ooh, Victoria, drop the offering. Eukarya, drop the offering. So Eukarya says she helps individuals and corporate entities to manage stress and reverse diseases using holistic approach. See, your business is out there, is a lot. People need you at times like this when people are going away from, the traditional medicine. Dr. Michael, we don't mean it like that. But I'm just saying that people need you a lot. So, whatever Steve said, he's the guru here. So just work on your title. But guys, meet Eukarya. She spent time with us today and she helps people and corporations manage stress and reverse diseases. Look, we all need you, Eukarya. Then we have Linda Adeyemi. Do you want to help us, Steve? Or I should go ahead.
You can go ahead. I'm done. You said I should do two. I've done two.
Okay. So, but you help us, yeah. Linda is an interior design professional, and she runs K Elan Design Limited, an interior design firm. She provides she provides premium design solutions to individuals and organizations that elevate their work and lifestyle. So guys, I wish you could have put your maybe social media handles so that people can reach out to you after this, because interior design is quite important. Now I found out that aesthetics of an office actually helps improve performance. So Linda, please put your details out there so that people can reach out to you. We have Chikezie Mwafo. His business is Cypress and Almond Resources International Limited. It's a multimedia firm. They sell and market photo cameras and video cameras and accessories in Abuja. I'm seeing thank you for everyone from Wyoming. Damilare says, Damilare is Damilare Igbayiloye. He helps parents and individuals to connect she helps parents and individuals to connect with their audience using their mother tongue at Akonilede Yoruba. Even I want to learn Yoruba, I understand. So Damilare, please share your details so people can, reach out to you, because it's quite important. Now, a lot of us don't know how to speak our mother tongue, or a lot of us do know. And funnily, Duolingo is that app that is helping us go to international language. But I feel like if you can do something, you will help us learn Nigerian languages, Yoruba inclusive. Linda Adem is you can reach out, I think, on Instagram at Kayland Design. That's KAYELANDESIGN. And Damilare can be reached on www.akoniledeyoruba.com. It's on the chart. Please take a look at it. And this is Dr. Michael again. He's Michael Adeyoju, an executive coach. He's the CEO of Michael's Mindset. His Instagram handle is at Dr. Michael Adeyoju. Please connect with him on Instagram. For Linda, you can also go to www.klanddesign.com. It is on the chat, so please take a look at it. For Xiaomi, Facebook is 247 Healthy Life Code Limited. There's a WhatsApp channel there so that you can connect with her. Thank you everyone for joining. I always love when we have lots of nice people who participate and all. So please, please, we do this once a month, and we're not having for December because we wanted to get people ready for 2024 from November. So there's none in December, but there will be one in January, at least to check up on how you're doing and see ways that we can grow and move forward. Christine says, thank you so much for this learning session. She'll be referring clients for coaching. So guys, you can also refer clients to us. We have some sort of partnerships thing that we have. So you can click on the link. Tony has already sent it. I want to thank you for your time. Excuse me, Steve Harris, thank you so much for taking out time. I know you're very busy and you've got to run, but thank you guys. I'm going to stop the recording now, but I'll just leave the live on for a few seconds so you can go check out excuse me, you can check out and follow people. Thank you so much.